So hello, good evening everyone. So once again we are back to our session. So in previous session we have discussed the basic of all this basic commands, what is Linux and everything. So now in this lecture we are covering the concept of file system management. Okay. For the file system management we have to first of all go to this thing, that is what is inside this file management. So for the file management system we have to see this thing. Okay, so this is like for the file management system we have to focus on these things, that is first a Linux system, Linux file hierarchy structure, Linux directory structure, file management in the Linux, and directory management in the Linux. So these are the file management technique. So one by one we have to see thing. So first is file Linux, like a Linux file system. Okay, so Linux file system is a structure method of storing and organizing a data in the form in the a Linux machine. So it arranges the file in a hierarchical manner or hierarchical directory, that format starting with this root slash. Okay. So what we are talking about, so this thing is about the file system. So the file system. So this is the okay. So this is the file system. To paste here. Okay. So this is the file system we have. So Linux structure is a method of storing and organizing a data in a Linux machine. So it arranges the file in hierarchical manner, and which is starting with this value that is written as this thing. Okay, and all the file and the directory in the Linux originated from a single root directory, and for it follow the hierarchical tree structure. So different directories look like slash bin slash home. So we have to see that different directories how it look like slash, so slash home, okay, slash home, slash bin. Okay, so these are the hierarchical structure in which it will look like. So file, Linux file system, the Linux file system architecture is organized into three important components, and each are responsible for the different functionality. Okay, so these layer work together to provide a smooth file access, storage, and management. So first one is the logical file system. So logical file system, then virtual file system, then physical file system. So architecture of this. So when we are talking the architecture of the file system, so it look like this one. So architecture of this file system look like this value. So in which this thing, the whole big thing, reduce in size, much small. So this is the file system look like. Okay. So this is like a user application, then logical file system, then virtual file system, then physical file system, then all the partition we have. So so what does it mean? So logical file system act as an interface between the user and the file system, handle the key operation like open, read, write, and close. And the virtual file system, that is second number, the file system, it provide a common interface for the system like ext4, xfs something, allow Linux to use multiple file. And physical file system interact with the hardware and disk. So this is all this is disk. Okay, hardware, and this is called known as the, so we call as a hardware. So hardware, so this is hardware. Okay, and this is a user application. Okay, so physical file system, that is nearer to the hardware. So what is the characteristic of this file system? So it is important because the file system determines how data is placed in a storage using the block allocation method and the fragmentation control. So it ensures the efficient manage to block, okay, allocation and this whole thing. So then file name, directory, meta file, utilities, design, and advanced file system feature are like journalism, journaling mode, order mode, write back mode, versioning mode, inode. And one technical term that we have we have to come with that. What is the meaning of inode? Okay, so what is the inode? So we have to give this a particular weightage to this thing. So in this we have to paste this value. Okay. So, okay. When we're talking about this term is inode. So what is the inode? So inode is like a index node. Okay, index node, and it is a data structure. Inode is like a data structure that store an important information about the file and directory. So it is a kind of data structure which have the like information about this file and directory that contain the file size, permission, ownership, and also the metadata. So we can say that this inode act as an internal identity of the file system in the Linux. Okay. So like in the file system implementation, here are some Linux file system, that is ext, jfs, xfs, all these things. So extended file, all these things, different file we have. And file system comparison, so like different file system comparison we have. So these are not that much important. So like using this thing. Okay. So let's move to the next thing, is like a file hierarchy structure. So how the file hierarchy structure look like? So when we're talking on the file hierarchy structure, so it look like this thing. So when you're talking about this is the inode, and this is what is the file like file systems look like. Okay. So when we move to the next part, that is like this is file hierarchy structure. So how it look like? So let me paste here. So file hierarchy system structure is look like this value. Okay. And so file hierarchy structure so look like this thing. Okay. So slash bin for the user. So what we call as a file hierarchy structure. So in this we can say that like you can say that a Linux file hierarchy structure of a file system define the directory structure, and directory contain a Unix like operating system. So it is maintained by the Linux Foundation. So in a file hierarchy structure, all file and the directory appear under the root directory. So all the file are appear under the root directory, and even if they are stored in a different physical or the virtual device. Okay. So these are the different file structure we have. So we can see. So like first of all we have bin. So what does it mean? So like no, first of all we have to focus on this thing, that is root. These are the root. So this is known as root. Okay. So root is a top, and this root is the top at the top of every Linux file system. So it's a root directory presented by the forward slash, and it is like a base point, and no directory exists above this one. Okay, when we look at the file system graphically, you will see all this directory branching from that root directory. Okay. Then after that you have seen that this. Then after you see this thing, that is like this, you completed the root. Okay. And then you have to like see the boot. Okay. So boot, so in that boot is like a directory that store all the required information about the boot system. It include the grub, bootloader configuration, and essential kernel that load the during the like boot setup. So static file of the bootloader. So all the essential that we needed for the boot are like present here. Then we have device. So dev, this is the technical term is dev. Okay. So in dev we can say that like what is inside the dev. So dev, like a device file in a Linux are stored in the dev directory. So device file are stored in the dev directory. Okay. So these are the special file that as an interface between the hardware and the software. So like all the like device file are stored in the dev folder, and this is a special file that act as an interface between hardware and the software. Okay. Third one is that, and fourth one is that etc. Etc. Host specific configuration. So in short we can say that it etc stand for the editable text configuration. So editable contain a configuration file for the system, application, user and services and tools. So it contain the host specific system wide configuration file or like user detail like UID, all these things. So it is like editable text configuration. Next is that is home. Next that is home. So home is like every root directory, every non-root directory have a personal directory inside. Okay, every non-root the user have their personal directory inside home. For example, if your name is Ashu, your personal directory is in the home Ashu. Okay, so each user can create, delete, modify the file only in their own home directory. To access this, the user's home depend on this like security configuration. Okay, then move to the let live. Let we have live. So live application require a shared library to run, which are like the application which require to like shared library to run. So these so that are stored in the live file. So this include dynamic library during the runtime. For example, Apache server are available here. Okay. Then we have media. So like a device like USB, CD, pen drive are mounted under this media folder. So we have media. So what is mount? Okay, like temporary mount directory for the removable device are stored in the medias. Okay, what is MNT? So when external devices are connected, they are temporarily mount in this mount file. So this is where their like content become accessible to the system. So like when external device is connected, for temporary mounting, file system are stored in this position. When opt, what is opt? So this is the third party and the third party and package are not, and third party software and package that are not part of default system installation that's stored in the like this one. So like add-on application storage package are all in the optional portion. Okay. So what next is SBIN. So this directory hold the administrative binary like IP table, firewall management tool, FSC, init, all these things. So SBIN is like hold administrative binary like IP table. So just like bin, SBIN. So we have studied about bin. Okay. So what is the what do we study about the bin? Is that is like bin directory have contained the essential command and the binary needed for the all the user like CP, LS, SSH, all the things. So essential command are they stored in the bin and same as SBIN. So that hold a binary like IP table, all this thing like just like bin, SBIN also contain the binary executable things. Okay. SRV stand for the site specific data served for this system. Okay. So when we move to this SRV, so like SRV, okay. So in like data, like in this like a site specific data are served by the system. Okay. SRV stand for service and contain a server specific services related data. Okay. Then temp, like program create a temporary file during execution. So these data are stored in the that temp file. Okay. When USR, so USR stand for the like a secondary hierarchical for the read only use data. It contain binary library documentation source code of second level program. So these are stored are in the this one. So user utility for the application, and last is procs. So like procs directory, like procs directory provide a detailed information about system. So each process assign a unique ID. So like detailed information about the system process, so that are present in the procs and assign a unique ID on this one. These are like different. So this is what the file hierarchy structure look like. So this is what the file hierarchy structure look like. So then we move to the third as the Linux directory structure. So how Linux directory look structure. So this is how we like Linux directory root structure look like slash we have option. So in Linux, everything is treated as a file even if it is normal file. So a directory or even a device such as like devices, printer, keyboard, all the directory and the file are stored under the root folder, which is represented by the forward slash, and Linux directory layout follows the file system hierarchy, and this file define how directory are organized and what file and what type of file has been stored. So the type of file in a Linux, we have general file, directory file, and device file. So we can say that the type of files we have. So in this, like, Linux directory structure look like, when we're talking about the Linux directory type. Okay. So types of types of file in the Linux, so the three types of, like, Linux categorize the file into three different types on their purposes, such as general purpose, data storage purpose, general purpose, data storage purpose, or system structure, all these things. So general file, they are called the ordinary file. So first of all, we are seeing that is like general file. This is called a general file. Okay. So what is the feature of general file? General file is also known as the ordinary file. So it may be a image, video, program, simple text. So these file can have an ASCII value also. Okay. So when we're talking about the, like, directory files, so directory files are known as these type of files are the warehouses of different type, and it may be a directory file within the directory. Okay, so it a file, or we can say it a warehouse type. All this thing, it's like a factory. So we can say that this one is a factory. Okay. And device file in a Windows like operating system, like device like CD, ROM, hard drive were represented as a, like, EFGHI, whereas in Linux, the device are represented as like a dev SDA1. So okay, like device file is represented as the dev. Okay, so understand, like device file are like stored in this one SDA1. Okay, so these file are like we have storage driver in the Windows, like written as EFGHI. In case of Linux, we have written /devs SDA1, SDA2, all these things. Okay, we know about the Windows operating system. The file are stored in a different folder like CD in, but in Linux operating system, the file are stored in the tree-like structure and starting from the root directory as stored in the diagram. Like we are saying, like these are stored in this manner. Okay, and top level bin bot, all this thing. When we so to check the directory from the root, how can we do that? So first of all, we have to open the terminal, then switch to root mode. So ls, like, switch to execute in commandable mode. Okay, so move to the root directory and list of all this, move to the root directory and list of all the directory. So we can see every directory. So every directory look like this thing. So when we see, like, every directory look like this value. Okay, so how it's look like? So every directory look like this value. Okay, and the term is like, and exploring the directory is like /boot Linux in kernel. So we can say that is /boot VM Linux. So this is the Linux kernel file. /boot /grub/grub.config. So that the main generate configuration file actually used to boot time. Okay, so there are different system configuration tools we have. Okay, so this is all about what is like a file like directory structure. And next we have to move to the, like, file management in Linux. So like file management in Linux involves the handling the file and directory through the various operation. Okay, the creation, modification, and the access control. Okay, so like file management system in this one, like we can say that the file management system. So how can I extract this thing? Like this is the file management system. Okay, here we can paste. Okay, so we can paste here. So file management in the this Linux, we can say that. So file management in the Linux provide handling the files directories such as various operations like creation, deletion, modification, all these things. Okay, the Linux treat every file, including the device, like including a device and the system configuration. ensure the efficient data organization and the accessibility. So command line include like cp, move, rm, ls, cat, or by using this all this thing. Okay, we know that like in Linux that we have three folder, like three files. Okay, general file, directory file, all this thing. So like these are the most like general file is the most common type of file that stored the text file, all this thing. Okay, readable. A directory, this file as a container that organize the file and other directory structure. Okay, and device file is represented so like, hardware and handle the input output things. Okay, so whenever we want listing any of this value, so we use list command. So okay, so listing any of the commands, so listing any of the files, so we use ls command. Okay, like if we do ls command, so list form of the directories. Okay, list of the directories and like ls command is used, and it provide a quick view of content in the directory, including file subdirectory, optional like detail like permission, ownership, all this thing. Okay, when we write ls hyphen l, so when we write ls hyphen l, so in that case, running ls, this one detail listing of the file and directory detail structure. Okay, what is like who is the owner, PID name, who is the owner, who is like developer, all those things, timing, size, date, and the location. So these are the like this is how it look like. So when you write all these things, so it look like this value. Okay, so when you write ls, so in that case it look like this value. Okay, okay, so write ls command, so in that case you can see all this value in the detail format. Okay, so display the information such as file permission, owner, group, file size, last modification, help you determine the user and the group can access or manage the file providing. So whenever we need to create it, so in this way we can list, in this way you can list the command. So in that case you have to list the file. So when we want to create the file, so for the creating the file we use like touch command. Okay, so creating the file we have like the touch command that is used, like that are used. Okay, so it is that are used in the Linux. Okay, and if the specific file, like a specific file, it does not exist, then touch command create a new blank file. So creating we use like touch. Okay, touch and the file name. Okay, so in that case it created the file. So how it look like, so it look like this value. Okay, okay, so when we write touch command, so it will, okay, in that case it look like touch the file name, all this it will give the like create a file. So like when we want to display the file content, so now we created, then we first of all we listed. Okay, we listed, now we created, and we want to like see display. So how we display the content, display content, display content. So how I display this content? For displaying the content, I have to use this command, that is cat command. So like through cat command, we can display all this thing. So in that case, we have to paste this screenshot. So like this is the this this is the screenshot that is used to display the command, that is cat command, cat file name. So this is the content of this file. So by this one, you can display the content. After then, when we have to like copying the command, so we can use cp, then source file and the destination. For copying the file, we can use this command. So when we have to like, now we have to display the file, now we have to copy this thing. Okay, now we have to copy. So for the copying that file, we have to use this cp thing. Okay, okay, when a file one and the destination. Okay, so by using this one, you can copy the file system. Okay, when we move, so we can move that file and that source file and the destination. For renaming, we have to like file name and that another file name. Okay, deleting the any file, so rm command is used to delete in Linux. So we know that rm command is used to delete. Okay, for deleting we can say that if you want to like delete, we can use rm command. So rm command, it is used to it is used to delete delete the file inside this one. Okay, so this is what we have like file management system. So this is the file management system. We can see all this thing. Okay, then last term is like file management system, like directory management. So like how the directory are managed. Okay, so you understand how to manage. So like now we see how to manage the directory, like directory management system. So like you can, so I can, so you can take this from this value and you can paste here. So in this place I have to paste the directory. So like directory in the Linux is a special type of file that store the metadata and mapping the other file and directory organizing the file system. So directory in a Linux is a special type of file that contain and that have the that store the metadata mapping to another file directory and organizing the file system in hierarchical structure. So directory act as a container for the file and the subdirectory. So we have a root directory on the top level of the directory in the Linux. Okay, the special type of directory, and this is like every directory contain all these things. So for this, like creating the directory, for the creating for the creating so for the creating, we know that what we use, like we can use mkdir. Okay, and we have to write the name. Okay, by the mkdir we can create like that directory. Okay, and when we have to list this thing for the listing, we use ls command. Okay, then that file is visible and we can directly go to the file, and like to remove and remove a directory, we can use rmdir for removing. Now we want to remove this file, so how we remove that directory? So we can write as rmdir and that directory and directory name. Okay, and after that to remove to remove a directory which has content and in the use and its use like rm. So in that case we have to use like have content. So in that case we have to like rm dir hyphen r f and that directory name. Okay, so in that case we remove which has the content. Okay, having, so like changing the directory. So if we want to like move different in the directory, so like we have to use like cd command and then we have to write the directory name. Okay, so we can move from that directory or we can write the directory. So if we have to move to the last directory, so in the last directory we use like c hyphen, and if we want to move to the parent directory, we have to move to double dot. Okay, and if we have to move back to the default directory, we can use cd default directory, move to the curly braces. Okay, and copying is same, like we have to use the cp and we have to rename all this thing, move command, and we have to check the directory size. So if you want to check the directory size, so size check of the directory is used as like du hyphen h directory du hyphen h, so we can see the directory size. Okay, so in this lecture we cover all this file management system. So file management system in this directory, starting from this, like what is the file structure, the file systems look like. Okay, we have user, application, logical, virtual, and all this thing. What is the node, we understand. Then we have to move to this file hierarchy structure, how it's look like and what is the different use cases of that slash. Then after that we move to the directory structure look like. So we have three file system, general file system on all this thing. We understand all the definition. Then we move to the file management system, how we can manage the files and how we manage the directories. So these are the like this is the second lecture, and in this lecture we have understand what is like what are the things that are inside this one. So like in next lecture, we can understand. So first of all, I have to highlight this box. Okay. So White not highlighting. What if I use white? No, leave it. So if this is the like, this is like, we have like, okay. So in next we see the ownership, okay, ownership and the permission system. This is the tool. This is like summary of 2 lectures. So if you want like this type of notes, so you can comment. I will send this note. And so if our time permit, I can see that file system and ownership. Okay. Let's see the final ownership in this lecture only. Why we would wait for the another lecture? Okay. So like user permission and ownership. Okay. So let's see. So we have to like map. We have owner permission for this thing. We have to move down, down. Okay. Now we have to start the owner permission. So this in owner permission, we can say here like in owner permission, we have to study all this thing. So first of all, the owner permission in this Linux system. So like user management in the Linux, group management, Linux permission, and the file permission and ownership. Okay. So let's see first that user management. So what is the user management in this Linux? User management in a Linux. So let's see. So this is the user management first topic. So this is the user management thing. Okay. So when we are talking about the user management, and so let's see the Zoom portion. So user management is a core function of the Linux administration, and Linux support multi-user environment, making it ideal for the everything for the personal laptop to the large enterprise system. So efficient user management, so secure the system for the unauthorized, like secure the system from the unauthorized access, and ensure the user can ensure that the user can perform their role without interfering with the other, and help in auditing like auditing and all this thing. So Linux have the user ID. So like understanding the Linux user ID, first of all, it is look like this thing. Okay. So this is the Linux user ID. Okay. We can say a Linux ID, first of all, user ID 0 is reserved for the root, and the U1 to 99 like system account services and user after the regular user all. So admin manage user by creating, modifying, deleting the account, setting permission, and enforcing the access policies. Okay. So type of user in the Linux. So we have different type of user in the Linux. So we can say that these are the types of user we have. After that, we know that how many types of user we have. So why this is too big? Okay. So like user in the Linux. Okay. So you can see that we have like super user. So like full system control can install, download, config, delete, and modify. And the regular customers have limited access, can create the file, run the application, but not modify the system level things. Okay. Sudo user. So regular user with the temporary. So regular user with the temporary write via sudo command. So if you write sudo, so you have temporary get the like super user permission, all this thing. Okay. System slash services and account name. So non-human account used by like services, all these things. So guest temporary use this minimal privilege and can change, are not saved after that log out, all this thing. Okay. Then we move to the group user, like the user group. Okay. So these are like a different type of user we have, like types of user, and we have user group. Okay. So in that we have like user group is a collection of user. If you give permission to a group, all user in that group have a same permission. So, and another thing that is like a group of users. So this is the user. Okay. Okay. These are the group. Okay. This is a group user. So that we can say that a group user. Okay. So if you give permission to any of this member in this group, this means that you give the permission to whole member, and it make it easier for the file to manage the system with the permission. So first of all, the primary group. Okay. So every Linux user is assigned a one primary group. So when a user create a file, the group ownership of that file is automatically set to be primary. Okay. Okay. To check the group, so check the group, you have to simply type ID and your like name. Okay. So here the group ID is like given as 100. This means that a primary group of the user Raj is Raj. Okay. Secondary group, that is like a user can be part of multiple secondary group. Okay. So these group are provided by the extra file service and all this thing. So like add user to the secondary group, add user to a second group. How we add? So like sudo user mode, like a user mode a-g developer, that is Raj. Okay. So this add Raj to a developer group. Okay. So if you like write this thing, so if you write this thing, so if you write this thing, so in that case you give a Raj a developer permission. Okay. Developer permission. Okay. Like this. And so user management file, like user management file, like user have some like the user information, all this thing, privilege. Okay. User informations, we have like user ID, password. So when we are like etc editable, so what we have told like in etc like editable. So I forgot one thing, that is like identity structure. So if we like, what is etc editable text configuration? So editable text configuration. Okay. Editable text configuration. And what does it mean of etc? Okay. So all this thing and list of all users. So how we see the list of all the users? So for that one, like list all the user in the Linux used by the awk command. Okay. So if we write this thing, so if we want like a list of all the users. Okay. So list of all users, how we get a list of all users? So we can do by this command. So if we want a list of users, so list of all users or list of all user. Okay, user. Okay. So in that case, we by this command. So by this command. Okay. Okay. So list of user we can see by this one, awk -h print. Okay. So awk -h print and etc and password. So we can see that use list of all the users. Okay. And we want to get the user ID. So like how we get the user ID? So ID command. So ID command. So ID command give the user. So ID command give the user user ID. Okay. ID of the user. And how we add the user? So adding the user is like simply like, so adding the user, how we add that user in like thing. So we can use by this thing. Okay. So how we add? So if you want to add the user, so list of the user, how we add the user? So add the user. So the user are add by this command. This command is used to add the user. Okay. Sudo user add and that name of that user. Okay. So in that case, like user command create a new user. Okay. And this user get assigned to automatic ID. Okay. and assign a password. For assigning a password, like a sudo password geek. Okay, so you can enter that password and the password get assigned to that user. Okay, now let accessing how like the accessing the user configuration file. So in that case we can use cat slash etc slash password, so we can access the user information. How we modify the user information, like in that change the user id. So how I have to change the user id? So we can use like sudo. So how like change the user id? So like change the user id. So for the changing the user id, so like change the user id, change user id. So the user id can be changed by using this thing. Okay, changing the user id look like so user mode hyphen 1982. So you can sudo user mode, okay, hyphen u 90 test. So id test, right, id test. So you can see that user id, like id of that test is 192. This one user id is 1982. Okay, change the group id, same like hyphen g new group, that group, like sudo user mode, like sudo user mode hyphen g, and give that id number and do the test. So in that case we can change the group id. How, like different thing, how we change the home directory, delete that user. So user del hyphen sudo user del hyphen that name of that user. Okay. So this is the command. So whenever we want to that delete that user, so how we delete that user? So deleting the user, so we can write, so deleting the user, so we want to uh, delete delete the user. So we want to delete the user, so how we do? So in that case we have to press this code. So how it would look like? Okay, so by this step, like if we id of this group and all this thing. Okay, so like, and now we like a sudo user del user delete hyphen, and that the name of that user. Okay, hyphen l. So now we have to find the user id of that user, so we can find the user. So that in that way we can delete the user. Okay, so by using this we can manage whole, like user management are done by this all this step. So this is like a way of managing the user. Okay, what about the group management in the Linux? Okay, group management in the like in Linux. So group management in the Linux. Okay, so how we do group management? So some permission, and we move to the same. So like the group management in Linux is to organize the user to control and access the file directory. So like what we have to say about this group management is this thing. Okay, so in that case, how we best, okay, so this is like how we manage the group. So group management in the Linux is organized user and control access to the file and directory and system resource. So each user belongs to a list, at least one group, and this permission of fission assigned to, like primary group, secondary group, creating a second group. So group add, and we add that name. So in that case we add the group. Okay, setting the password of the group, all this thing. If you have to see the information of that group, so we have like cat etc slash gs shadow. Okay, so adding user to the existing group. So how we add user in the existing group? like user mode -g group 1 John Wick. So if we want to add like a group, add a user in that group, so we can use this thing. Okay, the command. So adding user without removing the existing group. So in that case, we have to like, so we have to write. So like how we add. So in that case, we can see by this command we can add without removing the existing member. Like a different commands we have. In that case, we can see that like group add like a group add two, and in that group I have to add John Wick. So user I like user all this thing. So user all add, okay, group two John Wick, and we have to tell three etc in that group. So we can see that group two in John Wick, and also group one we add group John Day and John Wick. Okay, in group two we have John Wick. So without removing all this thing. Okay. So by this one we can add, or if we want to remove that, like add remove from that one. So we have like group password -d user one from that group. So removing the user one from group two. Okay. So these are the different command to add add like a group management. And we move to the Linux permission. So basically Linux permission, we move to the next technical term, that is permission. Uh, so Linux permission. So Linux permission are as follows. So in Linux permission, we see that we have like basic three permission. We have basic three permission: read, write, and execute. Okay, so we have three permission, that is read, write, and execute. Okay. And like Linux file permission are the foundation of the system security model. So they define how we read, write, and execute the file directory. Okay. And ownership permission, and we have like ownership permission. So like a user, group, and the others. So we have two things like basic permission, and then okay, and another thing that is we have that is ownership permission. So in that ownership permission, okay, like a group, like a user, group, or other. Okay. So by using, so by using the tab, by using that that thing, that is, yes, that thing. Okay. So by using this plus tab, we can assign plus add a permission. By using this minus, we can remove the permission, and by like set the permission to the specific value. By using this equal to, we can set the specific value. Okay. So like group is written as like user group, so it is written as RWX. Okay, and it also written RWX, also other for RWX, read, write, and execute permission. Okay. Okay, and if we use the reference U, that is stand for the user, you use reference G for the group. The user permission apply to the owner of that file directory, group like group permission apply to group of that file, and O for the other, and A for the all three. Okay, so we can use that. The thing is that for the like here we can U, G, and O, and for the all we have to add like A. Okay, so like we have to, first of all we have to check the file permission. So if we like use the command ls-l, in which we can see the command in this format. Okay, so command in this format, that's look like this value. So a command in this value and look like this thing. Okay, and then this one. Okay, so first character identified a directory. So in this, the first character look like this first character directory, and this three for the user. Okay, this thing for the user, this three for this three for the group, and this 3 for the others. Okay, other. Okay, so name I. So name I. So name I command. So name I command is used to check that the file pass through each component of that file. Okay. And the permission is like if you want to like give the permission, so we have to use that command, that is a chmod. Okay. So if you want to execute, give a permission to the execute, so we have to like utter a chmod and give the executable command. So we can see that. So giving the executable function and like execute permission to other. So in that case, we can use this command. So like it give execute command to the other. Okay. So if you want to like give, if you want to give the multiple permission at once, like use a group. So in that case, like rwx should give a full permission to the command. So like if you add this one, so other group give -rwx. So in that case, like all will get the execution of all the things. Okay. And if you want to give like the code write, the example is a code add read and write permission to the user and group both, but and give a execution permission to the other. So in that case, so we can use this command. Okay. In that case, we use this command. So in this case, you've seen that the permission to like user and the group to rewrite, whereas like other has execution on this abc file. Okay. So we also use the octal permission in the Linux. So for this one, for read, it is R. Okay, for read permission, R stand for the 4 and R stand for the hello. Why it is not visible? When I like lost that. Definition. Okay. Okay, no issue. We are like correct at every stage. So if you want to give permission to any of the groups, so we can use the octal. We can use this octal permission that is written as like this one. So if you want to give in this octal form, so we can give in like 4 to 1 all this thing. So this thing, okay, if you want to give permission to any of the command. Okay. So let's see. And set UID, like set UID is allow the user to give a specific like user privileged owner. Okay. Setting and last thing, that is like sticky bit. So first of all, we have to set special permission in this Linux. So special permission in the Linux we have to discuss, that is first is set UID. So set UID is like allow the user to execute program with the privilege of owner. So user to allow the privilege of the owner. So set ID, set GID. So set a group ID to allow the run the file under the file permission. Okay. As set plus T. Say if you like we use plus T. So this allow user only to delete or rename the file regardless of the user permission. Okay. And setting a file permission for this special user, like ch own user of that group. Okay, like group of this one. Okay, so these are the like file permission we can use, and we also like do by this thing. So like the modified version. So like we use also this modified version. This is the modified version of CMD. So if you want to give this file, all this file. So this is 7 stand for the users, 5 stand for the group, and this is stand for the other. Okay. And this move to the the last thing, that is this is all about the like file permission and ownership. Like we have understand file permission and ownership. So file permission and ownership, like we have like file permission command. So in that case, we have this thing. Okay. Now we see that file permission. So if you want to give a file permission, so it look like this thing. So like chmod change the file permission, chatt modify the attribute, change file owner, then change the group owner, like change the file group. So in that case, we use different type permission. So in this case, we have to change this thing. Okay. So if we use this syntax, so if it, what does it mean? Okay. If we have this thing, if we have like this thing value, so what does it mean? Okay. So what does it mean? Okay. Mouse is not working well. That's why I take time. So like, so if you write this thing, like chmod, all these things 745. So it means that if we see the permission in this thing, if you like 745 in a new file, so it give permission. 7 means read, write, and execute permission to the group, user, and only write permission to the user, like in group, and then this one to the like other. Okay. So fully access to the owner, and the read write permission to group, and the read execution to the others. Okay. So this is the special type we can understand. Okay. So if we have seed as attribute, so ch and attribute, so like this command is used to exchange the special attribute to the file in the Linux. So these attributes provide the extra protection beyond the standard file permission. Okay. So if we use like ci, like a ch option attribute, so if like chn plus I, so it make a immutable and prevent for the modification and deletion. So like some of these attributes. So if this is the attribute, if we use, okay, 6 character. Okay, these are the like attributes. So this is the attributes. So these are the attributes. So in this, like make a file immutable and prevent for the modification and deletion, all this thing. Okay. Character own, like this give a ownership to the any of the file. Okay. Master group one, this thing. Same as the like a change group file, like a sudo, so group to abc text. So this will give exchange the group. Okay. So these are the file permission. Like these are like file permission ownership in this one. Okay, and we have like different commands, so we have understand this thing. So okay, change owner, so we have to see in change owner. For the like changing the owner, so we can use this command. So if we have to like change, so we have to like mark up, so this thing that is green, green, not green. So like these are the commands in this, like if we want to like change the owner, so we have to give this we can paste this thing. Okay, so by this one we give this new owner on a big group. Okay, let's start lagging, so we are finishing this thing. So this file permission thing is like finished in this way. So we can see this is all about the file permission. What are the basic things, how we can give the permission. So user, regular user, sudo user, and how we like list all the users. Okay, so this thing are the how we add the user, like sudo user add and that name. Okay, so how we delete, like this one delete, like how we delete, like this line, sudo user del hyphen r and new gig. So by this one we can delete file permission, how we give the user permission. Okay, so this is all about like permission. So like three thing is like completed, and like process networking, all this things. So shell scripting we understand, like process and networking is the important things. Okay, so in the next lesson, like next lecture, we have to finish all these things. Okay, bye bye.